Hey guys, in today's video we are covering a much anticipated part 2 to What If Ahsoka Raised Luke and Leia. If you haven't seen part 1, be sure to watch that before this video. I will leave a link in the description. Okay, we are going to be continuing right where we left off, with Vader killing Kenobi. Kenobi's head hits the floor as his final breath escapes his cold lips. It was done. Vader had eliminated his greatest enemy, his once best friend and master, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Ahsoka was thrown into a state of shock and panic. Anakin was ruthless. This was not the kind and caring master that she remembered. She had to get the twins out of there. Climbing into their ship, they flew off the ground to evade Anakin. But as they believe they've got out of harm's way and into orbit, Vader reaches out with his hand and stops their ship mid-air. It freezes and begins to shake. Slowly, they are pulled closer to the surface and back into the reaches of Vader. But Ahsoka leaps to her feet and propels her hands forward, cutting Vader's grip from the ship and sending him flying backwards. They were away, flying into the distance and barely escaping with their lives. But Obi-Wan was not as fortunate. Luke, Leia, and Ahsoka continued to evade the Empire for several years, using their skills and training to survive on their own. Meanwhile, the Death Star, a massive battle station capable of destroying entire planets, had become known throughout the galaxy as a symbol of the Empire's power and cruelty. The Empire would judge planets, deciding whether they were worthy of surviving in their new society. Trillions of people were murdered by their futile tests. Their power was endless, and it would be incredibly difficult to stop them. But along with the Empire growing large, the rebellion had also made tremendous strides in regards to numbers and power. Determined to stop the Empire and avenge Obi-Wan's death, Luke, Leia, and Ahsoka joined the Rebel Alliance. Ahsoka used her knowledge and experience to train the rebel pilots and soldiers, while Luke and Leia continued to hone their skills in the Force. This was a dangerous time. Now Luke and Leia, the only true hopes left in the galaxy, were placed in harm's way once again. But they were ready for whatever hardships they may face, including their father, who had now spent the better part of 3 years searching for them. He was furious at the Emperor for not telling them they were alive. I mean, when he really thought about it, it made no sense. He killed Padme when she was still pregnant, so how could he have 2 children? But he thwarted these thoughts from his brain. This was the first time that he had thought of her in decades, really thought of her. He hated the pain that it still brought him, but he had to find them. He had to find the truth. When the rebel fleet received word of the Death Star's location, they knew this was the only time they could attempt to secure victory and peace for the galaxy. Their fighters would attack the Death Star. With all of their firepower and might, surely they could bring an end to the Empire. Ahsoka was one of the only people to know the true power of the Empire, of Vader and Palpatine. She knew that for true peace, Vader and Palpatine would have to be killed. And so, Luke, Leia, and Ahsoka would turn themselves over to the Empire and be brought to the Emperor when the rebel fleet attacked the Death Star. The pilots entered orbit with Han Solo, a smuggler who somehow found himself caught in an all-out war.
V1 checking in. V2 checking in. V8 reporting in.
The rest of the fleet called their names as they began their first attack run on the Death Star, firing their weapons at turrets and different weaponry systems before the TIE fighters entered the battle. This was an all-out dogfight.
V3 watch out! Ah! I'll help V7. They're all over me! Ah!
As the 3 Jedi were brought to the bridge on the Death Star, Vader and the Emperor greeted them. Palpatine was a master of tactics and manipulation. He wanted to test his new prizes. The Emperor held their 3 blades in the palm of his hand, stroking them uncomfortably. But instead of sentencing them to death, he instead tossed the sabers back into their hands and commanded them to ignite them. Standing alongside Vader, they ignited their lightsabers. In Palpatine's mind, he wanted to turn Luke and Leia to the dark side. As for Ahsoka, he would make sure she dies. She is their main tether to the light, and so he will sever it. The battle begins, and it is fast and fierce. Everyone in the room has a motive, each as powerful as the next. The speed was like no other duel. Colors flash from all corners of the room. Blue, green, red, and even white echoed of all four corners of the battle station. Vader took this opportunity to face Ahsoka once again. He taught her everything she knew, and so he also knew her weaknesses. As they fought, he found an opening and sliced her through the stomach. Ahsoka was dead, and so the fury of the Skywalker children was unleashed. Screams bellowed towards their father and the Emperor. Ahsoka was like a mother to them. No, she was their mother. From the first day in this world, she had looked after and cared for them. And now she is gone forever. Anger drove their neck swings with their lightsabers. Palpatine was ecstatic by the rage and anger that was being displayed by the children. He required this rage if they were to ever turn to the dark side. Under this control of rage, Luke uses the Force to send Vader into the wall, exiting him from the fight. However, when a being untrained in the dark side acts on impulse and rage, they are left vulnerable. Just like Anakin against Obi-Wan on Mustafar so many years ago, Palpatine's speed and experience allows him to gain an upper hand on the two Jedi, as he forces them to the ground, disarming them in the process. Now they were defenseless, and without a teacher, Palpatine places his saber back up his sleeve and shoots bolts of lightning at them. Screams of agony and pain radiate from their mouths as they are engulfed with the electrical feel of lightning. The rebel pilots continue to make progress outside of the battle station, destroying TIE fighters and slowly getting closer to the station's main reactor.
Go! Go, go, go!
The rebel pilots enter the main reactor and begin to fire upon the Death Star, attempting to blow it up for good. It was at this moment that Palpatine made them choose: join the dark side or die. Luke looked up with bravery. He chose to die, and so did Leia. They would never fall to the dark side. It was the opposite of everything Ahsoka had stood for. Vader was stepping back to his feet as he watched this unfold. His mind was playing tricks on him. Thoughts of Padme and even Obi-Wan flashed throughout his head. He remembered his life before the metal suit, before all the sadness and anger. He envied to be back there again. Palpatine raised his fingertips to blast them with lightning again, to finish their lives once and for all. He didn't need them anymore. They were just a luxury to him, a trophy. But just as the Emperor was about to strike the killing blow, something unexpected happened. Vader, with thoughts of his old life in his mind, turned back to the light side and blocked the Emperor's attack. With a final burst of strength, Vader struck down the Emperor, killing him and bringing an end to the Sith's rule over the galaxy. As they left the battle station, the triumphant rebel fleet delivered the final blow to the Death Star as it blew into a billion pieces. Peace was finally attained. Their mission was complete. Vader was brought back to the rebel base where he was questioned and ultimately tried in court. But it was his children that bailed him out. They explained how it was Vader who saved them, and therefore saved the entire galaxy. He wasn't forgiven, but he was given another chance to make amends for the atrocities that he had committed as a Sith Lord. As for Luke and Leia, they continued to train and hone their skills in the Force. They established the new Jedi Order, with Vader as one of their most trusted advisors and teachers. Together, they worked to bring peace and stability to the galaxy, using their skills and knowledge to help those in need and defend against any remaining remnants of the Empire. Years passed, and Luke and Leia grew into powerful Jedi Masters in their own right. They continued to lead the new Jedi Order, spreading the teachings of the Force and protecting the galaxy from darkness. And so, with Ahsoka by their side as children to help nurture and grow their young minds. Luke and Leia lived happily ever after, dedicating their lives to the preservation of peace and protection of all life in the galaxy. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Ahsoka Went to Mustafar instead of Obi-Wan, or What If Obi-Wan Joined Count Dooku. Please check out our Patreon if you would like to support the channel. The link is in the description below. All proceeds go towards making better videos for you guys. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.